Hello, fellow knowledge explorers. Today we're taking a deep dive into a truly important and really thought-provoking chapter, The Ailing Planet by Nani Palkhivala.
That's right. And even though it was written back in 1994, its message about our planet's health and, well, our role in it.
It feels more critical now than ever, doesn't it?
Absolutely. If anything, it's gained urgency.
So we're going to unpack this together, extracting the most important insights for anyone looking to be truly well-informed on this essential topic. Let's get started.
Okay.
So Palkhivala, when he starts The Ailing Planet back in '94, he opens with this really arresting observation. He says, you really can't recall any movement in world history that has, and I'm quoting here, gripped the imagination of the entire human race so completely and so rapidly as the Green Movement.
That's quite a statement. Not just any movement, but gripping the entire human race.
Exactly. Think about that. He's saying this wasn't some slow, gradual philosophical shift playing out over centuries.
No, not at all. It was sudden. Almost like a viral idea, you could say.
Yeah, an awakening about the planet's health that just permeated cultures, political systems, seemingly everywhere and incredibly quickly.
And it's that speed, that universality that really stands out in his analysis, doesn't it?
Definitely.
He actually pinpoints the start of this movement to nearly 25 years ago from when he was writing.
So that puts it squarely in the early 1970s.
Right. And he gives concrete evidence for how quickly it took shape, how it moved from idea to action.
What does he mention specifically?
Well, think about this. In 1972, which was only about 2 years after the very first Earth Day, the world's first nationwide Green Party was founded.
In New Zealand, wasn't it?
That's the one, New Zealand. So you see, this wasn't just abstract thinking in universities or something.
No, it translated almost instantly into real political organization, into public awareness spreading across continents.
It really implies there was this readiness, like a collective subconscious awareness just waiting for that spark.
It is fascinating how a global consciousness like that could just pop up so fast. Because historically, environmental worries were usually local.
Right. A polluted river here, some lost forest over there.
But the Green Movement seemed different. It felt like it stitched all these separate worries together into one big interconnected picture. Almost like people everywhere started to, intuitively get the systemic nature of these problems.
And it makes sense because it cut across borders and cultures. Why? Because the planet, the air, the water, well, that belongs to everyone.
So it wasn't just activism for its own sake. Palkhivala saw it as signaling something deeper, a fundamental change in how we see the world.
Exactly. A reevaluation of our place in it all.
And that brings us to the absolute core idea that Palkhivala identifies. He talks about this massive conceptual shift, one he hopes is irrevocable.
Yes, the shift he describes is from humanity's perception moving from the mechanistic view to a holistic and ecological view of the world.
Okay, mechanistic versus holistic and ecological. Let's unpack that, because that sounds like more than just a small adjustment.
Oh, it's huge. It's a seismic reorientation of our entire worldview. It affects everything, economics, ethics, how we live.
So to really get the significance, we need to understand the starting point. What exactly did Palkhivala mean by the mechanistic view? How did that shape things for so long?
Well, the mechanistic view is pretty straightforward, almost brutally simple in its outlook.
How so?
It sees the Earth, the whole natural world, basically as just a giant machine.
Like a clock or a factory.
Yeah, something like that. A collection of separate parts, inert resources just sitting there waiting for us to exploit them.
So no inherent life, no real interconnectedness.
Not really, no. In that view, the planet itself doesn't have intrinsic value beyond what it can directly provide for human benefit. The focus is purely extraction, efficiency, utility.
So forests are just timber.
Rivers are just for waste disposal or hydropower.
Biodiversity is just stuff to catalog or ignore.
Exactly. And this view creates a sense of separation, doesn't it? It puts humanity outside and above nature, not as part of it.
Which makes it easy to justify just taking whatever we want.
Pretty much. Because, well, it's just a machine, right? And machines are there to serve the people who operate them.
Okay, so that's the mechanistic view. Then the holistic and ecological view must be its polar opposite.
Completely. It's a genuinely revolutionary way of seeing things. This new perspective doesn't just adjust the old one, it flips it on its head.
So how does it define Earth?
Not as an inert machine, but as a complete living organism. Palkhivala calls it an enormous being of which we are parts.
That sounds almost poetic, but you're saying it's more than that?
Much more. It's a recognition that Earth has, and this is key, its own metabolic needs and vital processes which need to be respected and preserved.
Ah, so it goes beyond just saving resources because we might run out.
Precisely. It's about understanding Earth's intrinsic life, its incredibly complex self-regulating systems, its right to exist and thrive, really, whether we find it useful or not.
It's like seeing the planet as a roommate, maybe. A very large roommate.
Or a superorganism, and we're like the cells within it. Its health directly dictates our health.
So this isn't just a philosophical idea. It means our whole definition of progress has to change.
It has to, from exploitation to, well, symbiotic living sounds a bit much, but something closer to that, where economic success is tied directly to ecological health.
It fundamentally changes our role then, from master of the machine
To steward, not just of resources, but of life itself.
The sheer scale of this shift.
Yeah.
It's huge. And Palkhivala himself compares it to one of the biggest paradigm shifts in history.
He does. He says, this change in perception is, and again I'm quoting, as revolutionary as that introduced by Copernicus, who taught mankind in the 16th century that the Earth and the other planets revolved around the sun.
Wow. Comparing it to Copernicus, that's bold.
It is bold, but it really highlights the magnitude, doesn't it? Think about the Copernican revolution. It wasn't just a scientific correction.
No, it completely shattered humanity's understanding of its place in the cosmos. We thought we were the center of everything.
Exactly. Copernicus forced this massive reevaluation of our cosmic significance. And Palkhivala is arguing this ecological shift does something similar for our relationship with the planet.
It's not just about what we do to the Earth,
but how we understand our deep interconnectedness with it, realizing we're integral parts, interdependent parts of this vast living system.
and that our actions within that system have consequences, often unseen, for the whole thing.
Right. And he suggests this growing worldwide consciousness isn't just staying in academic circles or protest signs. It's starting to reshape policy, corporate thinking, even individual choices.
Because people are grasping that we're part of something bigger, and that bigger system, well, it's showing signs of distress.
Which leads us directly to the next point.
Okay, so building on this new perception, Earth as a living organism, the chapter's title itself, The Ailing Planet, tells us something critical straight away.
If the Earth is alive, then its current state. Well, it's not good.
Palkhivala states it very explicitly. The Earth's vital signs reveal a patient in declining health. That's not a subtle warning. It sounds like a diagnosis.
It absolutely is. That metaphor, the ailing patient, it's stark, isn't it? And deliberately urgent.
Yeah, it doesn't just say sick. It says ailing, which implies it's getting worse.
Exactly. It suggests a trajectory towards more distress, maybe even collapse, if things don't change.
And when we think of vital signs for a person, heart rate, temperature, breathing, what are Earth's vital signs in this context?
Well, Palkhivala doesn't list them right there, but from the rest of the chapter, you can infer them. Things like the rapid decline of forests we mentioned.
The depletion of fresh water, soil erosion.
The massive waste problem, exploding population growth. These are the symptoms, the signs of a planet, a system under immense stress.
And the metaphor also puts us in a specific role, doesn't it?
It does. It kind of frames humanity as both the cause of the illness, perhaps, but also, crucially, as the only potential caregiver. It creates this immediate sense of responsibility.
Right. If Earth is a patient, what's our role? And Palkhivala says this realization gives us ethical obligations.
Yes, ethical obligations to be good stewards of the planet and responsible trustees of the legacy to future generations.
Stewards and trustees. Those words feel quite significant.
They carry a lot of weight, definitely, more than just vague environmental concerns.
So a steward? What does that really imply?
Being a steward means being an active, responsible caretaker. You're managing something, maybe not owning it outright, but you're diligently looking after its well-being, its health, its future, often on behalf of someone else.
Okay, so active management, responsibility, and trustee. That sounds almost legal.
It has that connotation, yes. A trustee often has a formal, even legal fiduciary duty. They manage assets.
In this case, the planet's natural systems, its biodiversity, its resources.
Exactly. Managing these assets for the benefit of specific beneficiaries. And here's the crucial part. The beneficiaries aren't just us right now.
It's future generations. Everyone comes after us.
Right. So it emphasizes this long-term intergenerational duty. It goes way beyond immediate self-interest or what just one generation wants.
It means we have this non-negotiable obligation not to trash the place, basically, not to squander what actually belongs to those who follow.
It's a profound shift away from that short-term, take-what-you-can mindset. It demands serious generational foresight.
So this ethical obligation, being stewards and trustees for the future, understanding that our current actions are essentially spending the inheritance of generations to come.
It leads directly to a concept Palkhivala flags as absolutely crucial for guiding us forward.
Sustainable development.
Sustainable development, a term we hear all the time now, maybe sometimes used a bit loosely.
True, but Palkhivala grounds it in its original, very specific and powerful meaning.
And it's worth remembering where it came from. He notes it was popularized in 1987 by the World Commission on Environment and Development.
The Brundtland Commission, right?
That's the one. So this wasn't just dreamt up in an ivory tower. It came from a global commission grappling with these urgent environmental and developmental challenges.
And the definition they came up with, it's something everyone really should know, internalize even. Let's state it clearly.
Okay. Development that meets the needs of the present.
Without compromising the ability of future generations to meet their needs.
Every word there matters, doesn't it?
It does. And Palkhivala offers a simpler take on it, too.
He does, with his usual clarity. He boils it down to, without stripping the natural world of resources future generations would need.
That seems straightforward, but the implications are massive.
Absolutely, because you start asking, what exactly are the needs of the present? It's not just basic survival food, water, shelter.
It's also education, healthcare, economic stability, dignity.
Exactly. And the real challenge, the ethical balancing act, is meeting those pressing, immediate needs without wrecking the ability of future people to meet their needs.
Which implies a fundamental redesign of how we do things, how we approach growth, how we use resources.
It's not about stopping progress. It's about reshaping it, designing economies and systems that are, regenerative, circular, rather than just make dispose.
Requires incredible foresight, planning, global cooperation.
And it challenges those old notions of progress equals constant extraction, doesn't it? It means thinking beyond the next quarter's profits or the next election.
Thinking about the century-long impact.
It requires massive policy shifts, huge investments in renewables, circular economies, conservation, a real collective commitment.
Okay, let's shift focus a bit. Palkhivala uses this really striking anecdote to bring home our role, humanity's role, in this whole crisis.
The zoo story, yes.
He talks about a zoo in Lusaka, Zambia. And there's this one cage with a sign on it, quite ominous. It reads, "The world's most dangerous animal."
Right. So you approach expecting to see, a tiger, a huge snake.
Something fierce. But you look inside the cage, and there's no animal.
Just a mirror.
Just a mirror. Reflecting you, staring back.
It's incredibly powerful, isn't it? Such a confronting message.
You can't really argue with it. It's designed as that immediate aha moment. Forces you to see yourself.
No pointing fingers elsewhere. It directly implicates us, humans, as the primary force, the biggest threat to the planet's balance.
It's a chilling thought. Our consumption, our technology, without maybe enough wisdom, our sheer numbers, posing the greatest danger to the systems that keep us alive.
It just strips away any pretense that this environmental crisis is some distant, external thing. The mirror says, it's us.
But what's interesting is Palkhivala doesn't just leave us staring despairingly at that reflection.
No, he offers some hope there.
He notes that thanks to global efforts, growing awareness, a new awareness has now dawned upon the most dangerous animal in the world.
Right. He suggests this consciousness is leading towards a really crucial shift.
From what to what?
From a system based on domination to one based on partnership.
Domination to partnership. That implies a deep internal change, doesn't it? Recognizing our survival is tied to the planet's well-being.
It highlights that crucial bit of hope, that we are capable of self-realization, introspection, and critically, transformation.
Moving from being the dominant, conquering force
to being a collaborative partner, participating responsibly within Earth's living systems, not just acting upon them.
Recognizing we're embedded in nature, not separate from it.
And speaking of those intricate systems, it's worth remembering just how vast and complex the natural world is, much of which we don't even know.
He mentions the number of species cataloged.
Yeah, something like 1.4 million living species scientists have cataloged, sharing the Earth with us. But then he adds this staggering thought
What's that?
that biologists estimate maybe 3 to 100 million other living species still languish unnamed in ignominious darkness.
3 to 100 million. Wow. That really puts our impact into perspective. We're messing with this incredibly vast, largely unknown web of life.
Making huge changes to systems we don't even fully comprehend.
And this dangerous animal, us, humanity,
Mm-hmm.
we rely on very specific foundations for our survival, don't we?
We do. Palkhivala brings in the work of Lester R. Brown here.
Right. From his book, The Global Economic Prospect, what does Brown identify?
Brown, who founded the World Watch Institute, points to the Earth's principal biological systems are 4.
Okay, what are the 4?
Fisheries, forests, grasslands, and croplands.
Fisheries, forests, grasslands, croplands. The 4 pillars.
You could call them that. Palkhivala stresses their absolutely critical role. He calls them the foundation of the global economic system.
Not just resources, but the actual foundation.
Yes, they don't just provide our food, they also provide, quote, virtually all the raw materials for industry except minerals and petroleum-derived synthetics.
So clothes, paper, building materials, even clean air and water cycles depend on these.
Intrinsically, their health underpins almost every aspect of human life, from basic food security right through to global economic stability. If they're impaired, the effects ripple everywhere.
And the alarming truth Palkhivala brings out, citing Brown, is that human claims on these systems are reaching an unsustainable level.
Mm-hmm. The point where their productivity is being impaired.
That's the core problem, isn't it? We're basically drawing down the ecological bank account faster than it can possibly refill itself.
Living off the planet's principle, not just the sustainable interest. It's deficit spending on a planetary scale. And the planet can't sustain that.
So what are the specific consequences he points to for each of these systems?
Well, they're dire and tragically interconnected. Let's start with fisheries.
Yeah.
In what he calls a protein-conscious and protein-hungry world, the demand for fish has just exploded.
Leading to overfishing.
Rampant overfishing. Fishing fleets are pulling fish out much faster than they can possibly reproduce.
And the result?
Fisheries collapsing all over the world. And it's not just fewer fish on the plate, it's ecosystem collapse. Whole marine food webs get disrupted.
Ghost fishing gear. Impacts on seabirds. Bigger fish.
Exactly. Think about species like bluefin tuna pushed to the absolute brink. Some populations down over 90% in just decades.
Yeah.
And the impact on coastal communities who depend on fishing, it's devastating.
Okay, that's fisheries. What about forests?
Forests are disappearing at an alarming rate. Due to decimation, he says, especially to procure firewood for cooking.
Particularly in poorer countries where it's the main fuel source.
Right, and Palkhivala highlights this truly shocking detail.
The one about the pot.
Yeah. What goes under the pot now costs more than what goes inside it.
That just starkly shows the desperation, doesn't it? The sheer scarcity, spending more on fuel than food. It drives this awful cycle of poverty and deforestation.
And the ecological fallout is catastrophic. He quotes Dr. Myers, the ecologist,
Who called the tropical forest the almanac?
the powerhouse of evolution. And that's not hyperbole. These forests are incredible biodiversity hotspots, genetic libraries.
So their destruction means
Several species of life face extinction. Every single day, we're losing unique genetic codes, potential future medicines, crops, climate regulation, everything.
there's that sobering quote too. It has been well said that forests precede mankind, deserts follow.
A stark warning. And the rate of loss is staggering. 40 to 50 million acres a year.
40 to 50 million acres. That's like losing an area the size of Florida every year.
Roughly, yeah. That's the scale of the ongoing loss he was describing back then.
And it's not just cutting trees. He mentions dung burning too.
Yes, when firewood becomes scarce, people burn animal dung, but that deprives the soil of vital natural fertilizer.
So you lose the forest cover, and you degrade the soil needed for regrowth or farming. A double hit.
Makes restoration even harder, and the scale of the challenge. The World Bank estimated back then that a 5-fold increase in forest planting was needed just to meet expected fuelwood demand for the year 2000.
A 5-fold increase. That's an immense reforestation task.
Unprecedented. And the problem was actually accelerating faster than people realized. Palkhivala mentions James Spieth from the World Resources Institute.
What did you say?
Spieth noted they used to say forests were being lost at an acre a second, but updated estimates showed it was much closer to 1.5 acres to a second.
1.5 acres per second. That revision just underlines how fast the crisis was escalating, spiraling almost faster than we could track it.
Exactly. And the other two pillars, grasslands and croplands, they're suffering too.
How so?
Grasslands, vital for grazing, for carbon storage, they are converted into barren wastelands. Overgrazing, unsustainable farming, climate change leading to desertification.
And croplands, the land that feeds us.
Also deteriorating.
Yeah.
Soil erosion, nutrient depletion from intensive farming, reliance on monocultures, weakening the very foundation of our food supply.
It's important to remember, as Palkhivala points out, this isn't a new concern. These alarms have been sounding for a long time.
He mentions the Brandt Commission, right? An early international group looking at ecology and environment.
With an Indian member, Mr. L.K. Shaw. And they asked that critical question decades ago.
Are we to leave our successors a scorched planet of advancing deserts, impoverished landscapes, and ailing environment?
A question that resonates even more powerfully today. Despite the warnings, the problem just got worse.
It did.
So after painting this global picture, looking at these foundational systems, Palkhivala brings the focus right back home to India.
A place he knew incredibly well, obviously.
And he starts with something that sounds positive, at least on the surface. The Indian Constitution. What does it say about the environment?
Well, on paper, it sounds fantastic, really visionary. He cites Article 48A of the Constitution of India.
And what does Article 48A provide?
It says that the state shall endeavor to protect and improve the environment and to safeguard the forests and wildlife of the country.
A clear constitutional mandate. The government must try to protect the environment. Sounds great.
It sounds incredibly progressive. A national blueprint for environmental stewardship.
Palkhivala, with his legal mind and understanding of how things really work, immediately flags a huge problem.
Yes, something that causes him, in his words, endless anguish.
Which is?
He knows that a law, however noble, is useless if it's not enforced. And he states, quite bluntly and sadly, that laws are never respected nor enforced in India.
Wow. Never respected nor enforced. That's a strong claim.
It is. And to back it up, to show it's a systemic issue, he gives this really powerful example from the Constitution itself.
Not about the environment, but about social issues.
Exactly. He reminds the reader that the Constitution explicitly abolished casteism, untouchability, and bonded labor. These things shall be abolished, it says.
But his point is?
His point is that despite being outlawed for over 40 years at the time he was writing, these practices flourish shamelessly.
So the comparison is stark. If the country can't even enforce fundamental laws against deep social evils,
then what hope is there for enforcing environmental protections, which might seem less immediately critical to some? It points to a deeper systemic problem.
A problem with law enforcement, with societal adherence, maybe political will, spanning across many issues.
It implies that just having good laws isn't enough. You need political commitment, robust accountability, and a real shift in societal values for laws to mean anything on the ground.
And this gap between the ideal on paper and the reality has devastating consequences for India's environment, particularly its forests.
Yes, the reality for India's forests, despite that constitutional mandate, is described as incredibly grim, almost dystopian.
He cites a specific report.
A recent report of our Parliament's Estimates Committee that has highlighted the near catastrophic depletion of India's forests over the last 4 decades.
Near catastrophic depletion. Not just decline, but catastrophe.
And the data he gives is alarming. India, according to reliable data, is losing its forests at the rate of 3.7 million acres a year.
3.7 million acres a year. That's a vast area.
Yeah, it is. But then Palkhivala adds this detail that's even more disturbing because it goes beyond the stats.
What's that?
He notes that large areas officially designated as forest land are already virtually treeless.
Treeless. Forest land with no trees.
Exactly. It's a forest on paper, in government records perhaps, but in reality, it's barren land. Imagine the ecological impact, biodiversity loss, climate disruption, water cycle changes.
It highlights the severity beyond just the numbers. And then there's the issue of the numbers themselves, the discrepancy he points out.
Yes. This really raises serious questions about governance, about transparency. Palkhivala states quite plainly that the actual loss of forests is estimated to be about 8 times the rate indicated by government statistics.
8 times? That's staggering.
It's deeply troubling. What does it suggest? Maybe poor data collection, maybe deliberate underreporting to avoid scrutiny.
Or to paint a better picture than reality.
Whatever the reason, it means the problem is far, far worse than the official figures show, which makes tackling it effectively almost impossible.
That virtually treeless detail really sticks with you. It's a visceral image of devastation.
It is. And he connects India's situation to the global picture, too. He mentions a UN study using satellites and aerial photography.
Covering many countries.
88 countries investigated. And it warned that the environment had deteriorated so badly it was critical in many of them.
So India's struggle, while particularly severe, was part of this wider, deeply alarming global trend.
Exactly.
Okay, moving on. As we look at all these interconnected pressures, resource depletion, failing ecosystems, Palkhivala zeroes in on one factor he sees as incredibly powerful, though often controversial.
Population growth.
Yes, he states it unequivocally. The growth of world population is one of the strongest factors distorting the future of human society.
Not just a factor, but one of the strongest. He really underscores its immense, transformative, and often damaging influence.
And this is where the historical numbers become really eye-opening, isn't it? The sheer acceleration.
Absolutely. It puts the current situation in stark context. He breaks it down meticulously.
How long did it take to reach the first billion people on Earth?
It took mankind more than 1 million years to reach the first billion.
1 million years. That's almost impossible to comprehend. And that happened
around the year 1800. 1 million years of human evolution, history, everything, just to get to that first billion.
Okay.
Then the pace just exploded. By the year 1900, a second billion was added.
So 1 million years for the first billion, then only 100 years for the second. That's already a massive speed up.
Phenomenal. But the real population explosion, the unprecedented surge, was in the 20th century. Palkhivala notes that the 20th century has added another 3.7 billion.
3.7 billion in less than 100 years, compared to 1 million years for the first billion.
Exactly. From 1900 to 1994, humanity added nearly 4 times the total population that existed in 1800. It's pure exponential growth.
Which creates just unbelievable pressure on all those systems we talk about: fisheries, forests, grasslands, croplands.
Immense pressure. More people means vastly more demand for food, water, energy, housing, land, pushing systems way beyond their ability to regenerate.
So by 1994, when he was writing, the world population was estimated at
5.7 billion.
And the rate of increase he cited then. It's shocking.
Every 4 days, the world population increases by 1 million.
Every 4 days. 1 million people. That's like adding a whole major city to the planet twice a week.
It's relentless pressure. Continuous compounding demand for everything on a finite planet. It directly links human numbers to environmental strain.
So given this huge challenge, what's the answer? Palkhivala introduces a concept that might sound counterintuitive initially, but it's widely recognized.
Development is the best contraceptive.
Explain that. How does development act as a contraceptive?
It's not about force or anything like that. It's about an observed global correlation. Fertility falls as incomes rise, education spreads, and health improves.
So when people, especially women, get better education.
When families feel more economically secure.
When healthcare, including family planning, is available, and fewer children die young.
People naturally tend to choose to have smaller families. It's a societal shift driven by empowerment, improved well-being, and informed choice. It leads to a natural drop in birth rates.
But Palkhivala points out a critical, almost tragic paradox here.
Yes, the terrible irony. But development itself may not be possible if the present increase in numbers continues.
So it's a vicious cycle, a catch-22.
Exactly. Poverty often correlates with higher birth rates. Maybe children are seen as labor or old age security.
But then the larger population strains resources even more, making it harder to achieve the very development that would naturally lower birth rates.
It's a self-reinforcing trap. And Palkhivala highlights the grim consequences, especially for the poor. The rich get richer, and the poor beget children, which condemns them to remain poor.
And he makes that crucial economic point, too.
Yes, challenging the old idea that more children automatically means more workers. He says more children does not mean more workers, merely more people without work.
Which just deepens poverty, strains social services, infrastructure, potentially destabilizing whole societies. It's a human development crisis as much as an ecological one.
Absolutely.
And it's really important to stress, Palkhivala explicitly rejects unethical solutions here.
Very clearly. He states, it is not suggested that human beings be treated like cattle and compulsorily sterilized. He's completely against any forced measures.
So the focus has to be
Voluntary action, empowerment, choice. He says, there is no alternative to voluntary family planning without introducing an element of coercion.
And the choice, as he frames it, is incredibly stark.
It is. The choice is really between control of population and perpetuation of poverty. Those are the paths. One leads to deepening crisis. The other offers a way towards better lives and environmental stability.
It's a fundamental choice for societies to make.
And he brings us right back to India's specific immense challenge. He mentions India's population back in 1994.
Estimated at 920 million, which he points out was more than the entire populations of Africa and South America put together.
That sheer scale highlights the enormous task India faced then and faces now in providing for its people and managing its environment.
And his warning about India is dire, almost desperate.
He says, no one familiar with the conditions in India would doubt that the hope of the people would die in their hungry hutments unless population control is given topmost priority.
He frames it as a matter of basic human hope versus despair, survival versus suffering, not just an environmental or economic issue.
It shows the profound human dimension he saw in this challenge.
Okay, so despite all these huge challenges, the ailing planet, the collapsing systems, the population pressure, the enforcement issues, Palkhivala actually ends on a note that feels hopeful, transformative even.
He does. He sees something new emerging. For the first time in human history, he says there's a transcending concern.
Transcending what? National interest.
Yes, and even just immediate human interest. The concern is for the survival not just of the people, but of the planet.
That's a profound shift. It's not just about us anymore. It's about the whole life support system.
And this signals, he argues, a move towards a holistic view of the very basis of our existence.
So the environmental problem, grim as it is, he doesn't see it just as a death sentence.
No, remarkably, he frames it as our passport for the future. This emerging New World vision, he says, has ushered in the era of responsibility.
The era of responsibility. That sounds significant. What does it really mean?
It means moving beyond that fragmented, exploitative view we talked about, beyond just thinking nationally. It is, as he repeats, a holistic view, an ecological view, seeing the world as an integrated whole rather than a dissociated collection of parts.
So a proactive, integrated approach, recognizing we're all interconnected.
And taking active, informed steps to preserve and restore the whole system. Recognizing our fate is tied to the planet's health. Responsibility isn't optional, it's essential for survival.
It demands thinking about long-term impacts in every decision we make.
From individual choices to global policies.
And Palkhivala specifically calls out one major player as having a critical role in this new era. Right. He says, industry has a most crucial role to play. It's not just on governments or individuals.
And he gives a really concrete, powerful example of the shift happening within the corporate world, even back then.
Who does he mention?
Edgar S. Woolard, who was the chairman of DuPont, a huge chemical company.
And Woolard did something unusual.
Around 1989, 5 years before Palkhivala wrote this, Woolard declared himself the company's chief environmental officer.
The CEO became the chief environmental officer. That's a statement.
A huge statement. A massive reprioritization right from the top of a global industrial giant. It wasn't just PR.
And Woolard's reason for doing it. It wasn't just idealism, was it?
No, it was brilliant pragmatism, Woolard said. Our continued existence as a leading manufacturer requires that we excel in environmental performance.
Wow. So environmental excellence isn't just nice to have, it's essential for business survival.
That's exactly the shift. It's not an optional extra, not just a cost to be minimized, not just about complying with regulations. It's integral to core business success, to competitiveness, to long-term viability.
It shows that potential for leadership from industry itself, seeing sustainability as good for the planet and good for the bottom line.
A fundamental change in perspective.
Okay, to really wrap this all up, Palkhivala leaves us with two incredibly potent quotes. Lines that just condense the whole argument brilliantly. You really want to remember these.
The first one is from Margaret Thatcher. Surprisingly, perhaps.
What did she say?
Palkhivala notes her words, passed so decisively into the current coin of English usage. No generation has a freehold on this earth. All we have is a life tenancy with a full repairing lease.
That's such a clever legal analogy. Let's unpack it. Freehold versus life tenancy.
Right. A freehold is like owning your house outright forever. Absolute ownership. Do what you want with it.
But Thatcher says no generation has that for the earth.
Exactly. Instead, we have a life tenancy. We only get to use it for our lifetime. We're temporary occupants, like renters.
And the crucial part is?
The full repairing lease. That's a legal obligation on a tenant to maintain the property, keep it in good condition.
So we can't just use it up and leave it trash for the next occupants. We have a binding responsibility to maintain it.
It completely reframes our relationship from owner to temporary steward with the duty of care.
Okay, that's powerful. And the final quote, the one Palkhivala seems to feel is maybe the most important.
It's from Lester Brown, and it's unforgettable, truly paradigm shifting.
What is it?
We have not inherited this earth from our forefathers. We have borrowed it from our children.
Borrowed it from our children. That hits hard. Why is borrowed so much more powerful than inherited?
Think about it. Inheritance feels like a gift, something given freely by those before us. You might feel gratitude, but ultimately you can use a gift how you like, squander it even.
Right. No real obligation to return it.
But borrowing implies a debt, an obligation to return what you took.
And to return it in good condition to the rightful owners.
Who in this case are our children,
Yeah.
future generations. It shifts the whole focus of responsibility, not looking back at what we received.
But looking forward to those we owe it to. It creates this direct, personal accountability to the future.
We're not just here enjoying a gift, we're actively safeguarding what belongs to those who come next. That's the ultimate takeaway, isn't it? Our actions today are fundamentally about the well-being, the very existence of everyone who follows us.
So the Ailing planet, it's really more than just a chapter in a book. It's a profound wake-up call, a reasoned plea for this huge shift in how we see and act in the world.
Absolutely. It lays out the challenge, but also the necessity and the possibility of change.
For you listening, for your understanding, for being truly well-informed on this vital topic, remember those key ideas we've unpacked.
That revolutionary shift to a holistic view of Earth as a living organism.
The absolute imperative of sustainable development meeting our needs without compromising the future.
And above all, that deep, inescapable responsibility we have. That sense of stewardship, of trusteeship.
That sense that this future isn't something we've inherited, but something we have profoundly borrowed from our children. Keep exploring these ideas. Keep learning.
Thanks for watching. Like, share, and subscribe to our channel for more exciting videos.